Good evening, and welcome to the Cobb County Republican Women's Club 5th Televised Forum of 2014. I'm Barbara Hickey, CCRWC President, and this is the 5th and final in a series of forums. Tonight's forum will be for the candidates in the District 1 and District 3 Cobb County Commission races. Please join me and stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and please be seated. The Cobb County Republican Women's Club was organized 50 years ago and is the largest Republican women's organization in Georgia. We are a member of the Georgia Federation of Republican Women and the National Federation of Republican Women. CCRWC provides an excellent opportunity to network with elected officials and feel more connected to the political education on issues and candidates. It also provides a vehicle to get involved in candidate campaigns through volunteering. Through CCRWC, you become an informed voter, having input into the political process and influencing decisions that open the door to good government. We invite you to become a member and join us for lunch. We meet the 5th Friday sometimes, but mostly the 4th Friday of the month at the Marietta Conference Center. Women and men are welcome to join our organization. For more information about our organization, visit the Cobb County Republican Women's Club website at www.ccrwc.org. I'd like to speak to you this evening on the importance of voting. The right to vote is a privilege, but first you must be registered. And I hope many of you out there are registered, because April 21st was the last day to register and be eligible to vote in the general primary on May 20th and in the runoff on July 22nd. If you have any questions about your registration, voting absentee or early voting, call the Cobb County Elections and Registration Office at 770-528-2581 or visit the website at www.cobbelections.org. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now my pleasure to introduce our moderator for this evening forum, Linda Coker. Linda graduated from Florida State University and then went on to earn a master's degree from Georgia State University. She was a school social worker early on in her career at Sprayberry High School and also worked for Congressman Buddy Darden in the early 80s. She started work in 1986 with Sheriff Bill Hudson at the Cobb County Sheriff's Office and retired in June of 2013 as Deputy Sheriff. The Georgia General Assembly in the House of Representatives for 3 terms, 1991 to 1996, and she has been supportive of YWCA, the Chamber's Leadership Cobb Program, Cobb GOP, women's Republican groups such as ours, the Cobb County, Fulton County, and Louisiana women's Republican groups, and many other groups and charitable organizations in Cobb for the past 30 years. She is married to Gene Coker, and they have 2 grown children and 3 grandchildren, and please welcome Linda Coker.
Thank you, Barbara. It is absolutely my pleasure to be here with all of you tonight, all the Republican women and all the candidates. This is our 5th televised Republican Forum in a series of 5 sponsored by the Cobb County Republican Women's Club. Tonight's forum will be for the candidates for District 1 and District 3 of the Cobb County Board of Commissioners. Thank you to TV 23 and staff for your assistance in broadcasting this forum tonight. The candidates for participating in this event, and to the viewing audience and the studio audience. Since this is a live broadcast, we ask the audience to please turn off all your cell phones and pagers to lessen the distractions and noise. Also, please refrain from applause until the end of the forum due to the time restraints. Our 3 panelists for this evening are Scott Johnson, Toria Morgan, and Leo Smith. Scott Johnson is the Senior Vice President of Financial Supermarkets Incorporated, a retail banking consulting company. He is former Cobb GOP Chairman and currently Chairman of the 11th Congressional District of the Georgia Republican Party. He has served on the board of Georgia Department of Human Services and is currently on the board of the Stone Mountain Memorial Association and is a member of the State Board of Education. Toria Morgan. Toria is the current chairman of Pocketbook Politics, an organization of Georgia professional women seeking common sense, pro-business solutions to the tough economic challenges facing our state and nation. I've been active in that group too, and they do a great job. She is a veteran political activist and is currently the state Georgia GOP Assistant Treasurer. She has advised and managed many political campaigns and has served in numerous areas of service in the Republican Party, including being a delegate to the Republican National Convention in 2008 and 2012, as well as serving as a presidential elector for the state of Georgia in 2012. Ms. Morgan is a past president of the Cobb Republican Women's Club. She has volunteered for diverse organizations such as the Georgia Christian Coalition, Friends of Cobb Arts, and the Cobb County Neighborhood Safety Commission. She has served as president of the Leadership Cobb Alumni Association and the Cobb County Arts Board, and is currently serving on the State Agriculture Steering Committee. She recently stepped down as member of the County Ethics Board. Ms. Morgan is the recipient of numerous awards, most recently receiving State of Georgia GOP Pioneer Award. Welcome. Next is Leo Smith, a resident of Smyrna, Georgia. Leo works with the Republican National Committee and the Georgia Republican Party as Georgia State Director for Minority Engagement. He also serves as a Georgia GOP State Committeeman and Vice Chair for the Public Policy for the Georgia Black Republican Council. Leo has been recognized in Who's Who in Black Atlanta for faith-based business development and community leadership. He has received honorable mentions from organizations like Heritage Action, Americans for Prosperity, and the Capital Coalition of Conservative Leaders, for whom he's volunteered as a citizen activist, lobbying for the conservative causes at the Georgia State Capitol. He was licensed for ministry by the AME Church and presided over a NAACP chapter in Virginia, where he also created the Ecumenical Allowance. He was the first recipient of Virginia Tech's College of Arts and Science Diversity Award for Staff Leadership. Thank you for being with us. Okay, our format for this evening will be each candidate will have 1 minute for an opening statement. They will field questions and the candidates will be given 1 minute to respond. Each candidate will be given 2 minutes for a closing statement. Candidates, there is a timekeeper sitting at the table in front of you. There she is. There will be a 30-second warning card and a bell will ring to end. Ding. You must stop speaking when the bell rings. The Cobb County Republican Women's Club contacted all Republican candidates for District 1 and District 3 for our commission. If your candidate is not here this evening, it is because they were unable to attend. We have one candidate who is not able to attend tonight, Commissioner Joanne Burrell. She has submitted a 1-minute written response in accordance with the rules, and I will read it now. To my friends of the Cobb County Republican Women's Club, I am sorry that I could not be here with you tonight, but I am out of town celebrating my mom's 89th birthday. I am a proud 10-year member of the CCRWC, where I work with you to grow our party and support conservative values. I am a proud 10-year member of the CCRWC, where I work with you to grow our party and support conservative values. I already said that one, didn't I? Sorry, well, you know. Okay, for the last 4 years, I have been honored to serve. I just want to make sure you're on your toes. For the last 4 years, I have been honored to serve Cobb County and the citizens of District 3. I have delivered results in the last 4 years. Established Keep It in Cobb Committee to support local businesses and keep tax dollars and revenue in Cobb. Voted against the 2011 tax increase and have led the charge to reduce the amount of money transferred from the Water Department to the general fund, down to 8% from 10% 2 years ago. Actively supported public safety as a commissioner and neighborhood safety commission chair and board member. Held quarterly town hall meetings to update citizens and encourage public input. Regular meetings and site visits with HOA and civics groups to discuss zonings and neighborhood concerns. Created Canton Road Redevelopment Committee to spur development on Canton Road. Originally, 17 sites in District 3 were identified for redevelopment. Today, only 7 sites remain on that list, and Cobb is now the new home of the Braves. If reelected, I will continue my conservative track record and do even more for Cobb in the next term. I will continue to be a conservative steward of your tax dollars, support public safety, and work with the Braves as they move to Cobb. I ask for your prayers, support, and your vote in the Republican primary, May 20th. Please visit my website, www.joannecan.com. Thank you to the CRWC, our host tonight, and God bless you all, from Joanne Burrell. Our panel for candidates for the Cobb County and District 1 are Angela Barner, Bill Byrne, Bill Byrne, Glenn Melson, Scott Tucker, Robert Bob Weatherford. I got everybody, okay. Our panel, I just want to make sure everybody's on their toes the whole time. Our panel of candidates for Cobb County Commissioner District 3 are Michael Opitz and Joseph Pond. Welcome. Mr. Barner, we will begin with your 1-minute opening statement.
Thank you. My name
Ms.
is
Barner. Mrs.
Got it. Thank you. My name is Angela Barner, and I've been a business owner in Cobb County for over 20 years. I've lived in Cobb County my entire life. Next year, that'll be 50 years. For over 20 years, I've prepared and managed budgets, large and small, in thriving and struggling economies. I'm not a career politician. District 1 voters have shared with me that transportation, public safety, and economic growth are important to them. We can improve traffic flow at a reasonable cost if the Cobb County taxpayers want to invest in upgrades to transportation. The voters should have the final say. Replacing the 121 police officers that have left Cobb has cost the taxpayers millions. Instead of the costly cycle of recruiting and training, we need to focus on retention. Economic growth is the fuel that will generate additional tax revenues to pay for Cobb County's public safety and transportation needs without increasing homeowner property taxes. My name's Angela Barner, and I'm asking for your vote to serve as the District 1 Cobb County Commissioner.
Thank you, Mrs. Barner. Mr. Byrne, your opening statement.
My name is Bill Byrne, and I personally believe that government's primary responsibility at all levels must be and always should be public safety. And it is my focus in this campaign and hopefully in serving in District 1 to return Cobb County's public safety to the renowned respect as being the finest and the best in the metropolitan Atlanta area. We've got to become the highest paid, best trained, and most equipped public safety department in the entire state of Georgia. That's the focus of my campaign, the commitment to it, and I am honored that the Cobb County Fraternal Order of Police has honored me with their endorsement. Look forward to addressing the questions this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Byrne. Mr. Melson, your opening statement, please.
Good evening. My name is Glenn Melson, and I am running for District 1 Cobb County Commissioner. I am a father of 3, a husband, a grandfather, and a business owner. I have been in the insurance business for 29 and a half years. I want to bring that business experience and put it forth into government. We need to make our Cobb County government move forward in the proper direction. I put forth a plan, the 616 plan, which would increase our public safety, all officers, sheriff's department, and fire department, $6,000 a year in their salary in the year 2016. We can do this through priority-based budgeting. Priority-based budgeting will identify every dollar spent in our county, and then we can reallocate those dollars to make sure our public safety is at its strongest and at its finest. Thank you. My name is Glenn Melson.
Thank you. Mr. Tucker, your opening statement.
Okay. My name is Scott Tucker. I know most of you probably remember what happened today, and you're concerned about the families of the people that were infected. I want you to pray for them because they're going to need that for them to get through this. But I want you to remember the public safety people that won't forget this for the rest of their life as well. The reason I know this is because the last 31 years I've spent in public safety as a police officer and a fireman, and that was my role since I was the fire marshal. Now, outside that, I'm a Sunday school teacher and youth wrestling coach at Mount Perrin Christian School. My wife, Cindy, is back there, and she is a teacher at Mount Perrin, and I have 3 children. My oldest is a Cobb County fireman, which was on duty today, and luckily he didn't have to go to that scene. But when I retired, November the 30th, I didn't know what I was really in for, but I had 24 hours of retirement, and then I jumped right into this. So it was a good 24 hours, but now I'm here, and I'd like to serve Cobb County.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Mr. Weatherford, your opening statement, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Great things are happening in Cobb County, and I'm passionate about seeing that success continue. In order to continue our success, we need someone with experience and a record that shows that. I spent many years serving in law enforcement as well as in the Marines, and the last 12 years on the Acworth City Council. I'm running to take that experience to the Cobb County Commission to stand up for the interests of people in District 1 and ensure Cobb County's success continues. On the City Council, I had 12 years of conservative record of cutting taxes, promoting public safety, and I plan on being an advocate of public safety. I led efforts to grow our economy by promoting smart growth while protecting our neighborhoods and following the future land use plan. I plan to take that conservative record to the County Commission, and if elected, I will make public safety my top priority, push for reform that lower taxes and be a strong advocate for smart growth, as well ensure that the Braves coming to Cobb County will be a success. To accomplish these things, we must elect a leader that doesn't need any training. Oh,
Thank you, Mr. Weatherford.
that was cool.
That concludes the opening statements for the District 1 candidates. We will now have the opening statements from the District 3 candidates. We will begin with District 3 candidate, Mr. Opitz.
Thank you. My name is Michael Opitz, and I'm running to represent you as the next Cobb County Commissioner from District 3. I'm retired from Lucent Technologies and AT&T, and I'm currently a Georgia registered mediator and arbitrator. I know how to bring people together to solve problems, and together we can make Cobb County the best and safest to live. Currently, it is not. Our police and fire departments are understaffed and underpaid, which is causing many of our valued and highly trained officers to leave for other jobs. Additionally, the county is becoming one huge floodplain because of stormwater runoff and the related damage it causes. Commissioner Burrell has ignored these problems for years, so it's time for new leadership and management of the county. If not, nothing changes. I'm honored to have been endorsed by both the Cobb County Police and firefighters. I'd be honored to serve you as the District 3 Commissioner, and I ask for your vote in the Republican primary on May the 20th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Opitz. Mr. Pond, your opening statement, please.
Thank you. Hello, neighbors. I'm Joseph Pond, and I am running for Commissioner of District 3. I'm a property rights activist, and I believe in smaller government and lower taxes. The Cobb County government has grown too big for its britches and at our expense. I am a master plumber by trade. I am not a politician. I have spent my adult life working for mechanical contractors in a supervisory position on commercial and industrial job sites. This requires coordination with other contractors, working on tight schedules under adverse conditions, and providing leadership to get the best from my workers. I feel that these skills would enable me to handle the position of commissioner. My top priorities: public safety, protecting the rights of the property owners, and accountability in government with responsibility to the taxpayers. Remember, we cannot solve problems with the same thinking that created them. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pond. We will now begin the questioning. You have 1 minute for your response. You will be notified as to 30 seconds left, and when the bell rings, you must stop speaking. The first question is from Scott Johnson, and Bill Byrne will answer first.
Cobb County prides itself in having the lowest taxes of any metro Atlanta county. Yet, there are always needs and pressures for increasing budgets. In the past, there have been various reasons for supporting and opposing tax increases from our county commissioners. The question is, under what circumstances would you vote to increase property taxes for Cobb homeowners?
Over my dead body. In a 10-year period of time as commission chairman, I reduced property taxes by 18% over 10 years. This county has a population of 710,000 people. The median income is $66,000 a year. 42% of those people are college educated. There is money in Cobb County. We are an affluent county. It's a commitment to management, and it's a commitment to the conservative manner in which you address the issues. Our overall budget is $743 million a year, of which $325 million a year is dedicated to the general fund. That's people and programs and projects. If you know how to manage, if you come from a business community, you don't have to raise property taxes anymore in Cobb County in the middle of a recession.
Thank you, Mr. Byrne. Mr. Glenn Melson, your answer to Scott Johnson's question.
That's a great question. That's the reason why I have put forth the 616 plan. I am not for raising taxes. We have to get our government fiscal house in order. That priority-based budgeting absolutely goes through line by line and creates the funds, and it creates the profile that we can identify redundancies, overspending, waste in government, where we can identify very unused programs, little used programs, and waste in government spending, and therefore put it back into public safety. We can any other needs that the county has. Before we do that, before we raise taxes, because taxes will affect the lower income and senior citizens on fixed income the greatest. So we need to get our house in order before we increase taxes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Scott Tucker, your response.
I would not be interested in raising taxes in Cobb County. One of the reasons that Cobb County has done so well is because of the low taxes, and it's a place where people want to live, and one of those reasons is because of that. I believe that every single tax dollar that comes in, I believe it's going to be enough to take care of our basic needs, and then things outside our needs, we may have to work on other things such as a SPLOST or something like that. But our basic needs can be taken care of by the county taxes that we already receive.
Thank you. Mr. Weatherford.
Thank you. I too believe in raising taxes. In the last 12 years in Ackworth, I have a proven record of lowering taxes. Since 1998, our taxes are lower today than they were then. At the same time, we tripled our population, doubled our workforce, and increase the quality of life. It can be done. It can be done through proper management. It can be done by shifting the burden from homeowners to other sources of income. When we started in Ackworth 12 years ago, we had an 88% homeowner tax base and a 12% commercial. I'm proud to say today that is 60-40. So by shifting the burden from homeowners to those in the commercial, using the proper land use plan, we can maintain the tax rate that we have and continue to serve all of our citizens without raising taxes.
Thank you, Mr. Weatherford. Ms. Barner.
Thank you. There would be no reason to raise the property taxes. Cobb County has a $48.8 million in reserves. That's 6% more than is required by law. The millage rate in 2013 was 10.91, and it was reduced to 10.71 this past year. We have the lowest sales tax, the lowest millage rate, and the most competitive water rates in the metro Atlanta area. I see no reason to raise the property taxes and would not be in favor of it.
Thank you, Mrs. Varner. Now for the District 3 candidates to answer the same question, Mr. Joseph Pond.
Thank you. It was very interesting the way you phrased the question, because what you actually said was, under what circumstances would you raise taxes, not whether anyone was generally in favor of raising taxes. Right now, I can't think of anything off the top of my head that would cause me to jump up and down and go, woo, let's raise some taxes. I agree with what everyone has said before me. The money is there. Proper management will ensure that we should not have to raise taxes. I believe that the Cobb County government needs to concentrate on its core essentials and get rid of a lot of the fat, a lot of the excess that's there now. But to directly answer your question, I can't think of a whole lot short of public safety and saving lives that would require me to approve any kind of tax raising. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pond. Mr. Opitz, your turn.
I do not foresee any circumstances that would cause us to raise taxes. We have, as already has been stated, we have plenty of reserve capital. And what we have to do is focus on the priorities of spending, rather than letting spending problems drive our goals. We have to determine what our goals are rather than spend to those. And if we just apply good management principles, priority-based budgeting is a real principle, and we have to capitalize on stack ranking those in order so that we can determine what best will yield the return that we're seeking.
Thank you. The second question will be from Toria Morgan, and the District 1 candidate that will answer first will be Glenn Melson. Ms. Morgan.
Well, several years ago, our current commissioner, Helen Gorham, won her election against several other candidates without a runoff. In my opinion, she was successful because she knew that her core constituency was working with homeowners. If elected commissioner, is it your intention to work with the different homeowner groups in your area, such as people looking after neighborhoods, the East Cobb Civic Association, and the Cobb County Civic Association? And to what extent do you believe that these organizations bring value to the decision-making in their areas?
Thank you. I have already begun to work with the plan group. My door is open. I have to, in my business each day, I have to listen to my customers, hear their goals, and help them reach those goals, and develop that plan. Working with the homeowners association is easy. You listen. I've asked them, please don't just tell me you disagree. Tell me why you disagree, so that we can work together. We'll bring the business community and the homeowners associations together to work out a plan if we need to change the codes. Otherwise, let's stick to the codes. The variances get us in trouble each time. Let's stick to the codes. Let's define it. And let's stay, we value, in District 1, we value our undeveloped portion as much as we do our developed portion of land. So let's work together. My door is open to each one out there, homeowners or voters as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melson. Mr. Tucker, your turn.
Well, before I got started very far along on this process of becoming a commissioner, I contacted the people of Plan, and I had an opportunity to get in the vehicle with them and ride the county. And I wanted to hear everything. And frankly, I didn't think that I was going to learn a lot, but I learned a great deal. Not only did I understand a little bit about what they wanted, but they knew a great deal about what they needed. Now, we are not going to agree on everything, but one thing that we did agree on, that Cobb County has a land use plan that is very important. It will need some adjustments from time to time, and they're welcoming those adjustments when it's better for their community. That's exactly what I'd like to do, is spend some time with them and make sure what's better for their community.
Great, thank you. Mr. Weatherford.
Thank you. I, too, have spent some time with Plan and the Cobb County Civic coalition. I feel that it's important to reach out and to work with all groups. I'm a homeowner. I respect homeowners. Of course, I think they're valuable and they should be listened to. In fact, Plan has a review process for any development in West Cobb, so they have some say in what goes on there. I explained to them that I would follow the future land use plan as produced every 5 years. It's up for renewal in 2015. And once a year, you get to do some adjustments that has to be approved by the Atlanta Regional Commission. I've done this in the city of Ackworth for 12 years. I understand the process. I understand the future land use plan and what it means. And you cannot change it without input from the public. Public includes homeowners. I explained that I will not always agree with you, but I'll always respect you. I'll always return your calls, and we will be friends at the end. So, yes, I believe in working with all citizens of Cobb County.
Thank you, Mr. Weatherford. Mrs. Barner?
I feel like I do know what the issues are and what's important to the homeowners. That's what I do every day, and that's what I've done for over 20 years. I have worked for homeowners that are the taxpayers. I speak to homeowners every day about property values, public safety, traffic, schools, property taxes, and more. And I know what's important to those homeowners and why they have chosen Cobb County to be their home. I'm not in favor of high-density zoning. That's what I'm hearing from all of my neighbors and friends in District 1. They are not in favor of high-density zoning.
Thank you very much. Mr. Byrne?
Well, I want to applaud Helen Gorham, our commissioner, for the quality of life that she has helped create and maintain. And she understood working with homeowners and small business people is the way in which that quality of life was created, let alone maintained. And I would hope to follow in her footsteps. I'm a firm believer in the land use plan as it is upgraded on a yearly basis, not a 5-year basis. And the homeowners groups and business groups have an integral part in that role, and I would support their activity and their involvement, and have been disappointed into the past as to the lack of involvement, and will provide the encouragement to get people who've been sitting on the sidelines to become bigger players in the process.
All right, thank you, Mr. Byrne. Now we'll have Mr. Opitz.
It's important that we listen to our Cobb County neighbors and understand what's happening in Cobb from many perspectives. One of those perspectives is stormwater runoff. 20% of Cobb is in a floodplain. We've got neighborhoods who have tremendous erosion problems, and those problems are not being addressed by the current Cobb County Commission. We've got to refocus and look at what we are doing with stormwater runoff. It presents not only a problem with erosion, but also it presents a safety problem. We've seen floods that have occurred, and some of those floodings have come within just inches of walkways that could present clear dangers to pedestrians. So floodwater is an issue that we have to deal with. We haven't dealt with it, but I will focus on it.
Thank you, Mr. Opitz. Mr. Pond.
In the last 3 or 4 years, I've worked quite closely being a property rights activist with my neighbors, with neighborhood groups. Some of that work has gone well. Some of it has not gone not so well. What I found was that some of the neighborhood groups were abusing their power and not acting as a group of representatives to adequately represent the people. Each commissioner is going to represent 175,000 people in their district. It is essential that we have neighborhood groups like the East Cobb Civic Association and the CCCC to filter the information to us. However, they need to clearly define, or they need to stay away from being lobbyist groups and be more representative groups. If I'm elected commissioner, I plan on representing every single citizen in District 3, and I will need help, and that will come from the neighborhood groups.
Thank you, Mr. Pond. The third question is from Leo Smith, and Scott Tucker will answer first.
Well, first, thank you all for in your address answering some questions about public safety and showing the concern for it as Cobb County grows. As we look at the growing business development infrastructure of Cobb County, obviously what looms large is the Brave Stadium. As a commissioner, your job is to protect the interests of business growth, but also protect the interests of the citizens and the taxpayers. What planning elements do you think must be in place before you are confident that traffic congestion will be minimal with the Braves Stadium development?
I don't know if there's any way that we can say minimal on that traffic. I just don't. But I can tell you that there's some control that can be put on it to make things a lot better. And some of the ways that we're going to do that is merely by taking people off the road. Now, you can do that with buses, which we have CCT, and that could be expanded. You can also do that with better traffic management. There's also other ways to make sure that that's taken care of, and that is by Cobb County starting to begin with by leading the way and allowing flexible hours for their own employees to take some of those off the road. There's many, many good ways to reduce the traffic that we have on our roads. But in order to say that we won't have a congestion problem, especially during some of those peak times, I don't know that that's possible.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Mr. Weatherford.
Thank you. Obviously, the Braves are going to increase our traffic as well as new people coming to Cobb County. They're going to want to come to Cobb County because it's the best place to live, work, and play. There's not one solution for traffic. It's a puzzle. It's a complex puzzle. Each piece of the puzzle fits together. If you put it together right, then you help solve some of the problems with traffic. There is no one answer. All components, all pieces of the puzzle must be looked at, must be considered, vetted, and decided whether or not they're the ones that we should use to reduce traffic. There are multiple ways to get to the Braves now where there are only two where they are currently. There's multiple millions of dollars being spent in that area already, and it's on the books. So I think in the next few years you're going to see a lot of traffic improvement as well as pieces of the puzzle coming together to help reduce traffic congestion.
Thank you, Mr. Weatherford. Mrs. Barner?
Well, I think within a year of the Braves arriving, we're going to have the Cobb DOT Northwest Corridor managed lanes in place. That's going to help a lot. Also, I believe as well, the Braves' schedule is varied, so it's not going to be during all high traffic times. I think there's a lot of alarmists about it that it's going to be a big problem. There are going to be some concerns about it, but bottom line is the Braves are coming. They're going to be here. We're excited about it, and I think our position here in Cobb County with regards to the Coliseum is going to be better than where it is now.
Thank you, Ms. Barner. Mr. Byrne.
I think the issue is greater than the Braves, and I'm glad the Braves are coming. But it's a total development of the site, not just a new stadium. That will be busy 82 days out of the year. The total development will require an additional commitment to address traffic. 1/3 of the money is committed. 2/3 of it is being sought. We cannot even begin to spend money under a memorandum of understanding, and until we have a contract in hand, the congestion is just going to grow today, let alone by April of 2017. There is no way in the world by the time the Braves Stadium opens up for the first pitch that the infrastructure can be in place to accommodate the need. That is just absolute pure poor planning.
Thank you, Mr. Byrne. Mr. Melson.
The Braves offer a lot of different challenges to Cobb County. Traffic is one of those components. I believe we can help address some of the traffic problems that we're going to incur with reversible lanes, technology to synchronize lights. We really need to look at that. I know we don't need to spend $100 million on a BRT program. It's going to be like the bridge to nowhere. It's going to be the bus to nowhere because we will not have the ridership we need. I also would like to encourage us to look as a region and let's encourage the northern arc construction. That will remove a tremendous amount of tractor trailers off of our roads, and in effect, it opens up an additional lane if we can get all with Port of Savannah, the Savannah deepening. There will be more additional traffic, so we do need to address that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melson. District 3, Mr. Pond.
There's an incredible irony that in 2012, Tim Lee was actively pushing the T-Splost, and in selling that T-Splost, he was talking about clearing up the intersection of 75 and 285. So now in 2013, he decides the best way to do it is to put a stadium there. Mr. Byrne is right. There is no way that the traffic is going to resolve itself. You could put a 16-lane road in there. Nature abhors a vacuum. It will fill up. We're going to do our best. There's things in the plans on the books now to adjust for the traffic, but there is going to be, unfortunately, a wait and see exactly how we're going to be affected. That's by the mixed-use facility, by the stadium itself, and the other factors that are going to play into it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pond. Mr. Opitz.
Mr. Byrne is absolutely correct. We simply do not have enough data. We do not have enough information of what the traffic flows and traffic patterns are going to be at peak times and low times during the games. We already know we have a traffic problem in that area right now. But I haven't seen one traffic study that indicates what we are going to need to do, and quite frankly, there are too many dynamics at work here. So we're going to have to take this step by step and not overplan and not anticipate with information that, quite frankly, has not yet been verified. That leads to other spending problems and excess that provides no solution. We just have to take it very carefully, step by step, day by day, and do the very best that we can with the information that we have.
Thank you, Mr. Opitz. The fourth question is from Scott Johnson, and we will begin with District Number 1 candidate Bob Weatherford to respond.
So we'll drill down on the transportation question a little. There's much discussion about a mass transit link from Kennesaw to Cumberland to Midtown Atlanta. Do you think such a mass transit link is a good idea? And if so, what method of transportation would you prefer to support?
Great. I assume you're assuming that the bus rapid transit is one of those. There's many parts to the puzzle, as I mentioned earlier. I think we need to look at all the components. I am not a traffic expert. I know there's been millions spent on traffic studies. I defer to those experts. And then once we get that information, then we need to decide what is the best elements to complete the traffic puzzle. It's obvious that we have a traffic issue. It's obvious that we need to come up with more components to reduce it. There are many in the pipeline. There are many to come. There should be many more from some of the studies that are in place now. My job as commissioners to make sure they're implemented properly and that we choose the best option to complete the puzzle that solves or eliminates or at least alleviates the traffic issues that we have today.
Thank you, Mr. Weatherford. Mrs. Barner.
I believe we could add more express lanes coming from Kennesaw out through Midtown. But from the very beginning, when we were all asked about our position on the bus rapid transit, the BRT, my answer remains the same. I'm not for it. I stated that then and now. I believe that the voters should decide on that. I also believe that we need to have the benefit, the voters should have the benefit of some ridership studies regarding that, because CCT's ridership is very low and it's being having to be funded every year. So I don't think a second bus system is going to solve the problem.
Thank you, Ms. Barner. Mr. Byrne.
I think the supporters of the BRT, which is bus rapid transit, are trying to get through the back door what they couldn't get through the front door 2 years ago. The program, the process doesn't work. The $1.1 billion is unattainable, and a revision and a revised program that cuts it in half eliminates the concept for a BRT. It does not provide intersection relief, nor is there a population along the corridor from Midtown to downtown in Kennesaw that works. The numbers aren't there. When you study the numbers, you study the program. Taxpayers in Cobb County will be required for a 65% subsidy for operational purposes, just like they subsidize CCT today.
Thank you, Mr. Byrne. Mr. Melson?
Yes, again, I'm going to reiterate. I do not support bus rapid transit, light rail. as a county, we cannot afford to pay our, at this point, we're not putting the funds into our public safety. We do not need to spend an additional $100 million to support a bus that no one is going to be riding. We are already, according to the paper recently, are losing $13 million a year on CCT. We do not need to create another hole that just sucks taxpayers' dollar in. Let's have responsible government. Let's look at reversible lanes. Let's look at traffic light synchronization. Let's look at supporting from a regional standpoint, a northern arc. I realize that's federal, but maybe we've got to get in there and look at it from a regional standpoint, because what comes out of Savannah and out of the south and from the north does affect Atlanta traffic. Let's have responsible government. Let's put someone in there that's looking at it from a business standpoint.
Thank you, Mr. Melson. Mr. Tucker.
Well, I have to look at it like this. What would make me want to get on one of those buses? And what would make you want to get on one of those buses? It's got to be safe, it's got to be clean, it's got to be effective, and it's got to be efficient. So far, the only study that I've seen is 45 people that have been polled out of CCT. CCT riders will ride this bus as well. I don't think that's going to take any additional cars off the road. In order for us to take additional cars off the road, we're going to have to present something to people that they will do, and this they won't.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Mr. Opitz?
I think the BRT proposal is completely unworkable, and quite frankly, I'm surprised that it would ever get this far before being turned down. The cost involved, as well as the ridership, it looks as if nothing has been planned with facts and figures indicating a need for this kind of solution to an undefined problem. The real problem that we have in Cobb County is unplanned growth and explosive growth. The traffic comes from growth and unplanned, so that we have to look at, when we have major constructions of subdivisions and buildings, we need to anticipate ahead of time where the traffic is going to go and how the traffic is going to flow, because that's what creates traffic problems. But when we arbitrarily look at a solution to an undefined problem, we run up the cost of millions of dollars and still do not yet have a solution.
Thank you, Mr. Opitz. Mr. Pond?
I like that. A solution to an undefined problem. The only solution that I see that's coming out of this is spending millions of taxpayers' dollars on friends that run study groups and friends that run other types of businesses. I believe we've already spent over $3 million on studies for a program that we neither need nor want. Somebody's getting rich off this. And they're using our taxpayer dollars to do it. I do not support that. There is no need for it. It's nonsense.
Thank you, Mr. Pond. The fifth question is going to be from Toria Morgan, and we will begin with District 3 candidate Joseph Pond to respond.
Well, many people believe that the T-SPLOST failed because there were not enough specifics given as to how the money would be allocated. There are a lot of us that spend a lot of time sitting in traffic. For example, I travel Whitlock Road every day, and there are people all over the county that travel the small arterial roads and not necessarily just I-75. So staying with specifics, how do you think that we can improve transportation throughout Cobb County?
Mr. Pond?
That is a wonderful question. Looking at the land use map, reviewing it over and over again. In a large part, we almost ruined Cobb County back in the late 90s, and so when we allowed developments to go to a third acre, and we've been just packing people into Cobb County. In 1972, Cobb County had 200,000 people. We're now over 700,000 people. And the county didn't get any bigger. It didn't stretch. So responsible planning is what it's going to take to try to get any kind of traffic relief anywhere. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Pond. Mr. Opitz?
We can't continue letting developers take the lead for Cobb County and the Cobb County Commission continually shrinking and making more dense the zoning. That just can't happen. That leads to stormwater runoff. It leads to transportation problems. So our real issue here is not a transportation problem. It is a zoning problem. It is a planning problem, ensuring that we have planned communities that the county and that our resources and our environment will support. And quite frankly, we just haven't done the job. The Cobb County Commission hasn't done the job that it should have done in ensuring short-term as well as long-term growth. And that's one of the reasons I'm running, to help change that factor.
Thank you, Mr. Opitz. We'll have the same question for the District 1 candidates, beginning with Ms. Angela Barner.
Thank you. I believe another alternative to answer your question specifically, and it's been very effective in District 1, is the roundabouts in the secondary high-traffic areas. That's been very, very successful in our district, and I can speak for our district alone.
Thank you, Ms. Barner. Mr. Byrne.
Well, growth creates opportunities on one hand and problems on the other. We as a community of Cobb County, and particularly in West Cobb, have got to define the quality of life that we want to maintain and enhance. And the way you do that is not by building more roads and put more cars on those roads. It's looking at the growth opportunities with regards to residential growth, industrial growth, and commercial growth at some point in time. And I'm willing to be a part of this. We have got to say Cobb County is as big as we want it to be, and that's how we're going to maintain our quality of growth. And it's time somebody had the guts to do it.
Thank you, Mr. Byrne. Mr. Melson.
Yes, that is a great question. Part of addressing those needs, again, it will be looking at reversible lanes, one-way streets, so that we can take the roads that are such as Whitlock and address those needs. But we also, in meeting with plan, we have to look at the homeowners, consider the neighborhoods, and what are we building, what are we bringing in? Let's get the business owners, let's get the homeowners in, and let's hear what they have to say, how this particular development may or may not affect their neighborhood. Let's work out a great plan. Let's stick to the Cobb County plan use and the zoning laws, and then we can make a better Cobb County.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Melson. Mr. Tucker.
Communication is very important, and I think that we need to communicate with everyone, not only with the people in the area out there, but every single time that we build something, it also affects our schools. So we need to communicate with everybody. We don't want to overload our schools. We don't want to overload our roads. So Angela was right. Roundabouts have been very successful. And believe it or not, there's a lot of times that I didn't think that other roads that were expanded would work. But Stylesboro Road has actually been relieved in the last couple of years as well by good engineering planning. And unfortunately, that's what we have to work with right now, and we don't have the ability to have more and sometimes bigger roads than we currently have. So we're going to have to depend on that and watch our growth, not only for our roads, but for our schools as well.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Mr. Weatherford.
Thank you. The T-SPLOS that was referred to was a regional SPLOS, and I believe it failed because there are multiple counties involved, and we have enough issues trying to take care of our own county. I have been on the City Council for 12 years, in which we've gone through several SPLOS. And in the SPLOS process, you come up with projects that benefit all areas of the city and or county. You come up with projects that is well balanced. Those projects are then vetted through public hearings and engineering studies, and the public comes in and looks at those studies. Then they decide if this is what we want or not, and then it's voted on by the same people that have the opportunity to look at those public projects. One specific one may be roundabouts, but public safety is a big component. I'm a proponent of at least 30% of any future SPLOS go to public safety so we can address some of the issues that we have now. Stormwater is another that has to be addressed. So these are things that can be put in as projects for all of the county and allow the public to look at it, and then they're voted on as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Weatherford. The sixth question is from Mr. Leo Smith, and we will begin with an answer from District 3 candidate Michael Opitz. Mr. Smith.
Yes, great. Michael, you may remember that in our eSPLOS voting, there was a distinct difference in citizen voting and South Cobb than, say, in East Cobb. And though the districts may differ demographically, the commissioners' constituents, are different, but yet they are all impacted by all commissioners' leadership and decision-making. How can we do better addressing project needs across class, socioeconomic class in Cobb County?
That's an excellent question. And we certainly have to look at that. Cobb is changing. The state of Georgia is changing. We are impacted by current economic problems nationally. So there is no single point solution to any part of Cobb. We have to look at Cobb as a whole. We have constituencies in each of those sections that we really need to pay attention to. But when we look at the problems of Cobb, we've got to look at each of the areas. We cannot ignore the problems of South Cobb. So each of the commissioners really need to be knowledgeable of the South Cobb issues and work with the commissioners in each of those areas to make sure that we provide a total solution, just not a single point solution for that area that we represent, looking for our next election win.
Thank you, Mr. Opitz. Mr. Pond?
One word, communication. Open communication is what's going to bridge the socioeconomic stratas. We need honest communication. We need open communication. We need commissioners that will represent the people of each district. It's very interesting if you look at the new district maps for 2016. There are 4 very clear, very clean districts. District 1 is West Cobb. District 2 is East Cobb. District 3 is going to be more Central Cobb. District 4 is South Cobb. If the constituents can find their way to elect a representative that will truly represent the people of the county, and then the commissioners make a concerted effort to communicate back and forth with each other about the true issues and not just the politics, then I believe we can bridge those gaps.
Thank you, Mr. Pond. Now the same question is going to be answered by District 1 candidates, beginning with Mr. Byrne.
Well, I appreciate that answer because fortunately or unfortunately, we have 4 districts in this county, each of which have their own identity with some similarities but mostly differences. And I think as a board of commissioners, we can do 5 things. First and foremost, focus on public safety based on needs. We have got to have the personnel, equipment, and commitment to do that. That doesn't come cheap. Certainly a whole heck of a lot less expensive than the $300 million stadium that we're going to build. And we have to focus on economic development to provide job opportunities where the jobs are available and needed. And third, we have to focus on education, quality education for all, and then all commissioners working jointly, holding public hearings jointly, and focusing on economic development, particularly in South Cobb, with working with the South Cobb Business Association, where local businesses can provide jobs to local citizens. It is a board issue, not a district issue.
Thank you, Mr. Byrne. Mr. Melson?
Yes, the plan I've put forth in trying to say we've got to fully implement priority-based budgeting. It also has the added benefit of transparency in government. Well, with transparency, you're going to have much greater communication between the district commissioners. Communication is the key. You have to be able to work well with others. You have to be able to listen. You also have to have a heart for Cobb County. I've got children, grandchildren. One of my daughters is a school teacher here in Cobb County. It is very important that we address all of Cobb County, the needs, and look forward to bringing good government, having the government work for the people instead of just the people working to pay the government with additional taxes that have been put forth.
Thank you, Mr. Melson. Mr. Tucker?
In 1982, as a 19-year-old fireman, I got on the back of a truck and I could talk to everybody in the county. At this point, I probably couldn't do that anymore. There's a lot of different things, different languages, different people who have come into our town that we welcome. And in order to make the best of it, we had to have people that could actually communicate with them. I think 2 people have already said communication, but it just can't be said enough. Communication's the key to everything. That's one reason why the Board of Commissioners has people on there that they are actually appointing to handle certain problems for them so that they can come in and give them additional information. Communication is very difficult. 175,000 people in our area. We need people to help us. We need to communicate.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Mr. Weatherford?
Thank you. I certainly believe that we have to work together for all of Cobb County, not just West Cobb or any other part of Cobb. If we work together and communicate among ourselves as commissioners, then we can accomplish that. I've done that for 12 years on the city council. We each had districts. We worked together. But at the end of the day, we did what's best for all of the city. We should do what's best for all of Cobb County. A rising tide floats all boats. So if we develop South Cobb like we've been doing in other parts of Cobb, then everyone benefits. If we bring commercial development in certain commercial nodes, then the tax base increases. That benefits all of Cobb County. We have to work together. It's not a we versus you type of thing. And we have to do that and have more open communications above all parts of Cobb County in order for all of us to be successful and enjoy the quality of life that we so desperately want and deserve in Cobb County.
Thank you, Mr. Weatherford. Mrs. Barner?
Mr. Smith, to answer your question specifically, effective communication is what we need. I know that town hall meetings have been very effective in our district and District 1, and I think they have been in the other districts as well. Not only the socioeconomical, but the generational gap in order to communicate with our citizens. Where I would have more appeal to access the website than to go to a town hall meeting. I know my mom's in the audience. She would rather be at a town hall meeting and hear it firsthand. But Cobb County does offer many different varieties and able to communicate, and I think transparency and communication is great.
Thank you, Mrs. Barner. The 7th question is going to be from Mr. Leo Smith, and we will begin with an answer from District 1 candidate Bill Byrne.
I want to stick with, we mentioned education a little earlier, and I think it's oftentimes overlooked a commissioner's leadership on the overall quality of life, attracting businesses to Cobb County, et cetera, and the importance of the quality of schools in Cobb County for that leadership. Thinking again about the E-SPLOS. We approved an E-SPLOS. And if that E-SPLOS fails to realize countywide academic improvements, would you consider that E-SPLOS a successful tax?
No, I would not. There is a real failure of a joint venture between the Board of Commissioners and the Board of Education. From the taxpayer's perspective, they should be the same, and I would agree with that. 67% of the taxpayers' property tax revenues goes to education. The majority of the balance goes to the Board of Commissioners. There is no reason in the world we cannot jointly work together to improve education. I can factually tell you, in marketing businesses to come to Cobb County, CEOs would ask me 2 questions. What is the quality of your public safety, and what is the quality of your education? Cobb County has excelled in both and continues to do so. However, both can be dramatically improved. But it also takes families' investment into education, moms and dads, to make it work. It is not the responsibility of our schools to raise our children.
Thank you, Mr. Byrne. Mr. Melson?
A tax that does not raise the educational level is not successful. It's just if it's not raising the education in our children and improving it, we are not being successful with a tax. Money itself does not necessarily improve schools. You have to have quality teachers. You've got to have family. It begins at home. All education does begin at home. But we do need communication between the Board of Commissioners and the Board of Education, because we need to work together for a better Cobb. That is very, very important. As I said, my daughter teaches school at Powder Springs Elementary School. They're doing a fantastic job at that school, and improving education. We can continue to do that with encouragement from our Board of Commissioners as well as our Board of Education working together and communicating. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melson. Mr. Tucker?
Well, I agree with Glenn, and money doesn't make a more intelligent child. If you look at what the eSPLOS was spent on, unfortunately, we can't say that it was spent on teachers the way that we hoped that it would. So what we need to do is we need to invest in our people, and that's always what bails us out, investing in our people. And eSPLOS that did not raise the education level of our kids would not be a surprise to me, because most of us didn't have near what they have in schools today. But the important thing is that we take care and we invest in the people that we know actually do the job, and that's our teachers.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Mr. Weatherford?
Well, I may disagree with some of my candidates here because I believe the eSPLOS has proven to be beneficial to Cobb County. For example, North Cobb High School was one of the oldest high schools in the county. We replaced a 50-year-old high school with a 9th grade academy where we separate 9th grade from the rest of the people in high school. It's proven to be very successful. We also have a K-1 in Ackworth. It's also built with SPLOS funds. There's a lot more that you can do with SPLOS other than the academic standards. That's not what SPLOS was designed for. You cannot use SPLOS for salaries. You cannot use it for those types of things. It can only be done for capital and maintenance and operation. I would dearly love if it could be used for salary. Any SPLOS, then it would be much more beneficial. But I believe if you have a 9th grade academy and a 50-year-old high school in remodeling, then that improves the learning capability, and I think that it has proven itself over and over again to be a successful tool in making education in Cobb County what it is today, the greatest in the state.
Thank you, Mr. Weatherford. Mrs. Barner?
Mr. Smith, to answer your question specifically, if the eSPLOS was not effective, would I vote for it again? The answer would be no. And Cobb County is known nationally for its wonderful schools on a national level. And I do believe that education does begin at home. We cannot lay either the blame or throw the money at the schools. It starts with the parents and the teachers. The teachers are doing a great job. Cobb County is known for our schools nationally, and it is a great place. I sell Cobb County every day, and I sell Cobb County because of the great schools, and I'm very, very proud of that.
Thank you, Ms. Barner. Mr. Pond?
Thank you. You kind of asked a simple yes or no question. We've taken the opportunity to expound upon it, and we've all taken the opportunity to insert our own parallel views to it. Thinking about it and thinking about the question, I would have to agree with Mr. Weatherford. The SPLOSs are designed for material gains, not for teachers, not for that kind of things. As a plumber, I understand proper maintenance is essential to any operation. We couldn't be having this forum here if this building was falling in on itself. You can't educate the children if the schools are falling in on themselves. I am not a SPLOST fan by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a device that is voted on by the people. So it's kind of an apples and orange question, but anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Thank you, Mr. Pond. Now we'll have Mr. Opitz.
Taxes, whether it's eSPLOS or T-SPLOS, often are put forward without really analyzing what needs to be accomplished and making sure the mechanisms are in place to accomplish those goals. I don't think eSPLOS accomplished its goals that it set out to do. Education in Cobb is important. Public safety in Cobb is important. We have to attract and grow our tax base through manufacturing, through jobs, bringing in jobs from other areas, and they're going to be looking at our education and our public safety. Cobb County Commission and the school board have to work closely together. Those are the two taxing authorities, and if we don't work closely together, making sure that we understand what each can contribute to the whole of Cobb's success and in education and proper management, then we're missing the target, and we have been missing that target.
Thank you, Mr. Opitz. The 8th question is from Scott Johnson with District 1 candidate Glenn Melson answering the first time.
Well, we've all heard much about the needs of public safety in Cobb lately, and I think all of you have mentioned it tonight. And I think we couldn't go further mentioning public safety than to give a big thank you to the multi-agencies and departments that responded to the crisis in North Cobb today and tell them how much we appreciate their efforts. But no issue is more important to the citizens of Cobb County. But to get specific, as commissioner, what actions would you initiate or cooperate with to ensure our system of public safety is more than adequate to serve our citizens?
Well, as the only candidate sitting before you tonight to actually put forth a plan, my 616 plan is how we can obtain that. 616 is 2 parts. Let's do priority-based budgeting, line item. Let's see the budget. Let's reallocate those funds, increase those salaries, $6,000 a year in 2016. We've got to get ahead. We cannot work from behind. The Braves are coming. That adds additional pressure on our officers, our fire department. We've got to get ahead. My 616 plan with the priority-based budgeting, increasing the salaries, will address those needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melson. Mr. Tucker?
Wow, 31 years of working off of a public safety salary. I know you know what that's like.
I do.
Nobody does it for the money. We don't. Now, we want to get paid for what we do, but we don't do it for the money. So if you think people are just leaving for the money, you're mistaken. They're not. They're leaving for a multitude of reasons. Public safety is the type of people that do things because they get appreciated and because that people make sure that they have the right equipment to do the job. If you want public safety to stick around in Cobb County, you got to give them the right equipment, the right tools, and the right appreciation. Don't get me wrong, all of that is going to take some money. But I know for a fact, because I was part of managing 135 people, appreciation goes a long way, and we will make and have the best public safety, and it's headed that way now again.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Mr. Weatherford?
Thank you. Public safety is the #1 priority of any government, whether it be city, county, state, federal. It has to be funded, they have to be well-trained, but most of all, they have to feel like they have the support of the citizens that they serve. Sometimes that's harder to take and to control. Having served for 25 years as a police officer, and I understand, I was a captain in the city of Ackworth before I was injured on duty and became a public official, which, by the way, is much more dangerous than law enforcement, mainly because I don't wear a vest and carry a gun up here anymore. But I firmly believe that public safety is #1. There are ways to address that with lateral entry program improvements, get rid of the parity program that thinks that a fireman is the same as a sheriff, is the same as a patrolman. That has a detrimental effect to the police officers and also to the firemen. We need to improve more equipment, and we need to make sure that we provide them what they need.
Thank you, Mr. Weatherford. Mrs. Varner?
As has been mentioned before, the primary role of government is to ensure the safety and the welfare of the public. And in order to do that, we've got to have well-trained police officers and an adequate police force. And as I mentioned in my introduction, we've lost over 121 police officers in the last 2 years for various reasons. Cobb County is known for having the best trained police force, so well that other agencies actually recruit from our police officers, from our pool of police officers. We have got to stop training and retraining and recruiting. We need to do what we can do to be able to provide competitive salary and benefits to retain those officers, and that in the end is going to allow more money in the budget.
Thank you, Ms. Varner. Mr. Byrne?
Commitment is where it begins. Making it happen is where it ends. Our former Public Safety Director, Jack Forsyth, before he resigned, indicated Cobb County needed 174 new police officers and the related support items to that. The response to that in 1 year his justification was we had lost 70 police officers for a variety of reasons. Board of Commissioners responded by authorizing 40. Somehow, those numbers don't work for me. It starts with commitment. And if I am fortunate enough to represent District 1, public safety will again have a voice on the Board of Commissioners that is going to be loud and strong, and it won't go away.
Thank you, Mr. Byrne. Mr. Opitz, District 3.
Our police and fire departments are underpaid, underfunded, and under-equipped. Mr. Byrne just stated it very well. Our public safety has been ignored by the current Cobb County Commission, and we are paying the price for it with increased crime. We see it every day. We saw it today. We saw it last week. We saw it last month. So there has to be a focused effort on this, not only for the pay, but also for the working conditions and the environment for the police officers. The officers currently, and I've talked with them, they don't feel that they're listened to. They don't feel that they're respected. They don't feel that they have a place that within Cobb that respects who they are and their profession. That needs to change, and that can only be changed at the very top.
Thank you, Mr. Opitz. Mr. Pond?
To get to the core of your question, I'll go back to Mr. Smith's question, communication. We need to set up better liaisons between the Board of Commissioners and the men and women in the trenches. You, if I understood your question correctly, basically what you said was, what do we need to do to meet or exceed the levels of excellence? In order to do that, we need to talk to the men. What do you need? What equipment do you need? What personnel do you need? And then get those people what they need to do their job to the best of their ability. And stick with it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pond. The 9th question is from Toria Morgan with District 1 candidate Scott Tucker giving the first answer. Ms. Morgan?
Well, recently, there have been a lot of articles in the Marietta paper regarding the Development Authority of Cobb County and the Board of Education. If you are elected commissioner, how will you help bridge the gap between the County Development Authority and the school board?
Well, somebody told me to be myself up here, so this may not be that popular. To begin with, I think it's very important that everybody has a say in this. Business does not add people to the school roll, although it does add money to the school roll. However, with that, the school needs to be an intricate part of what we do when we are actually involving businesses or trying to lure businesses into Cobb County. If you don't get the school system involved in that, then you're missing out on a huge part of their needs, and the fact is you're missing out on their information that they have on how it's going to impact them. They need to be involved.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Mr. Weatherford?
Thank you. To put a similar, I guess, comparison, we have a downtown development authority in the city of Ackworth. The downtown development authority is charged with bringing economic development to the city. The Cobb County Development Authority is charged with doing the same. We don't do that in a vacuum. We work with both the county and the school system when we do that. If we bring a development or our new opportunity to the city or to the county, then we need to consult with them that impacts the school system. The problem is you need to have oversight. We oversee the Downtown Development Authority. The commissioner should oversee their county development authority. If you oversee it, it provides a good purpose, but it has to be managed, it has to be watched, and it has to be collaborative with all the different entities that are involved and impacted by any type of economic incentives we give in order to get new businesses into Cobb County.
Thank you, Mr. Weatherford. Mrs. Barner?
Ms. Morgan, to answer your question, the Cobb County School Board is tasked with providing a quality education to our children. That's why families move here, and that's why other businesses move here and they bring their families. We provide one of the best public school systems around, and we're nationally known. With that said, the voters charge the school board for overseeing the school tax and the budget. This money belongs to our children and not the Board of Commissioners. The school board should have a seat at the table in these discussions.
Thank you, Ms. Barner. Mr. Byrne?
The Development Authority is not a part of county government. It is a standalone agency created by the General Assembly and signed into law by the governor. It is a joint venture between the Cobb County Board of Commissioners and the Cobb County Chamber of Commerce. And I would agree the biggest issue with regards to that is open records and exposure to the public. One thing that I have suggested to this present Board of Commissioners, that if I'm fortunate enough to serve in that capacity again, was require, because each commissioner has an appointee to the Development Authority, is that they don't meet in their meeting room downstairs, but they meet right here at this diocese on TV 23, so that all of their communications and discussions will be a part of the public sector. The public can choose to watch or they can choose to ignore, and they will be the recipients or the benefits of the decisions.
Thank you, Mr. Byrne. Mr. Melson?
Transparency in government and communication in government are the two keys to working together to solve our problems. We as a Board of Commissioners, we do not need to make a decision that overly hits the school board and affects the tax revenue for them. So we have to have that communication. We also need transparency. We do not need to be meeting and making decisions of spending 300, 500, 600 million. How much is it going to be? We don't know yet. Without some communication with the voters, with the school board, with our business leaders, and our homeowners. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melson. Mr. Opitz, candidate for District 3.
Transparency is a big part of my campaign, and I don't believe anybody could have said it better than Mr. Byrne. We need to have transparent government at all levels, and bringing the Development Authority into this chamber so that we can see and understand what is being discussed and what the motivations are is so very important. We've heard in the newspapers that our county commissioners met 2 by 2 with members of the Chamber of Commerce while 2 others waited in the hall. We don't know what was discussed. There is possible violation of the open meetings law, and we've had enough of that. So in order to get to make the very best decisions that we can make, and so that the citizens of Cobb County are involved and informed, we must have transparency and shine the light of day and provide all the input that we can possibly get on solving Cobb's problems.
Thank you, Mr. Opitz. Mr. Pond?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Pond.
No. The Board of Commission, I do not believe that we should be spending taxpayers' dollars to bring business to Cobb County. I believe that we should be spending taxpayers' dollars to make Cobb County the best county that it can be, improve its schools, improve its infrastructure, improve the core. That will make people want to move here. That will bring business in. I'd like to blow up the Development Authority, if I could. It's not within the authority of the Cobb County Board of Commissioners to do that. However, if we're going to have a Development Authority that is going to control money that should be allocated to the schools, then the schools should have a seat at the table and be able to discuss it. I think everybody in the county should have a seat at the table if you're going to give away our money. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pond. Our final question is from Leo Smith, with District 1 candidate Bob Weatherford providing the first answer.
Perhaps I can give you a question that you can have a little fun with.
That would be nice, thank you.
Here's your opportunity. There are many ways for citizens to get more engaged and to be able to benefit from more transparency, something which you have all spoke about. But when it comes to the way that we engage in our town halls, there are some obvious differences that we might want to discuss. One being forums, another being debates, when we're trying to figure out who is the best candidate. So here's your opportunity to talk about this forum and this debate process, how it's working, what you think of it. And when it comes to our chairman, would a debate system work better or a forum system work better? And what's the difference?
Well, first of all, I thank the Cobb County Republican women for doing this, because this is obviously how people learn. We all are excellent candidates up here. We've all put ourselves out there, and believe me, it's not fun. It's not easy at times, and I applaud all of us for doing that. There's no way that we can reach 170,000 voters that we have in all of our districts. It's difficult to do that. This is an opportunity for people to learn about us, hear us speak, hear about our record. I would love to talk to every one of you individually. I can't do that. I'm going to try, but I can't do that. And I think that a forum and a debate like this is a good process for all of us to do that. Town hall meetings, websites, mailers, any number of things that communicate. All you can do is offer. Unfortunately, my experience has been over the years is only a small number take advantage of that, yet they still want to complain. So we need to have some way to make sure everyone has the opportunity to learn, opportunity to listen, and that's all we can do.
Thank you, Mr. Weatherford. Mrs. Barner?
I agree. You have to, and as I've learned in my business for over 20 years, you have to learn. I ask my clients when I start working with them, what's the best way for me to communicate with you? And that's the way I'll work. And I feel like Cobb County does a good job. We can always improve, but we can, with the websites, with the town hall forums, with the forums that we're here having here today. And I do appreciate the Cobb County Republican Women's Group having this forum and the other forums for the other races. It's been wonderful to be able to, especially for our seniors, to be able to see it on TV. They're not always able to get out in the evenings, and so they're able to see it on TV. So texting, alerts, websites, whatever we can do, smoke signals, whatever we can do to reach the taxpayers.
Thank you, Ms. Barner. Mr. Byrne?
Well, I think, Mr. Smith, to answer your question directly, I think when you have 7 candidates, that a forum is the best way to find out what the differences are. There are 7 very good Republicans up here, but there are also 7 very different focuses as to what, if elected, they're going to try to work on. There are differences of viewpoints and opinions on issues. Forums bring that out. Debate brings out the worst in people. So I applaud the Cobb County Republican women for designing this kind of a forum and format for the 7 of us to try to inform the public who are here in the audience and watching on TV 23. Getting to the voters is the hardest thing any candidate can do, particularly in a time in which May 20th is going to be the very first time Cobb County voters are going to go to the polls and vote in a primary. And I would suggest to you the turnout is going to be low. A lot of that problem is ours. A lot of it belongs on the shoulders of the General Assembly for doing it.
Thank you, Mr. Byrne. Mr. Melson?
I believe this format is particularly helpful and is absolutely the best way. True debate, I think would get off course and not really get to hear from each candidate and allow him or her to speak and give the voters an opportunity to really learn who are we as candidates. What kind of person? What are our views? What are our goals? What plans are we actually bringing forth? Are we throwing darts? Are we actually bringing forth plans to help Cobb County improve itself? So the format is absolutely the way to go. I love town halls. Get in front of people. They get to shake your hand one-on-one in that type of environment also. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melson. Mr. Tucker?
Given the circumstances, this is the best way. I'm sure of it. But unlike a lot of other people up here, this is not the way that I prefer. I don't like sitting in front of large crowds without having that interaction by the crowd. I'm a shake your hand, hug your neck type of person, and I know everybody's not that way. It's going to take a lot of emails. It's going to take a lot of text. It's going to take a lot of things. Unfortunately, our whole society is built on a faceless type of communication, and I'm just not up to that society yet. I have got a phone number back there on the card. I would much rather talk to you over the phone or come meet you than have these type of things, but they are necessary. And this is the best way to put candidates side by side so that you can find out what you need out of your next candidate or your next commissioner.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. Now we'll go to the Joseph Pond from District 3.
I have to admit I was a little confused by your question. This forum has been a lot of fun. I think it's an excellent way for the voters, for us to introduce ourselves to the people in a controlled environment. You discussed town hall meetings and interacting from the commissioners. I know that the commissioners each have their own styles and their own ways of conducting the town hall meetings. Personally, if I'm elected, the town hall meeting will be a lot more interaction between the constituents and the commissioner and less reporting from the various heads of the various departments. I've been to way too many town hall meetings where you had about 10 minutes to interact with the commissioner. But I've enjoyed my time at this forum. We had a forum last night, and I would like to thank everyone involved, the Cobb County Republican Women's Club, for offering us all this wonderful opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Pond. Mr. Opitz?
This forum is an excellent way for the public to meet the candidates and for the candidates to see and understand the ideas of each other, because some of us will be working together, and that's important. So it's a good way for us to meet each other. However, for problem solving, town hall meetings is really an excellent format, because then the constituents come with their ideas and their problems, and rather than having a debate about it and just listening, you can engage and have a conversation, have communications. And those communications then ultimately lead, hopefully, to discovery and solutions. So it's two different type of formats for two different types of activities. But I look forward to hosting town hall meetings on a regular basis as part of the interaction with the constituents, and that's so important.
Thank you, Mr. Opitz. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next phase, and the candidates will be giving a 2-minute closing statement. Candidates in each district race drew numbers earlier tonight to determine the order of the closings. We will begin with the candidates in District 3, and that first one would be Mr. Opitz. Your closing, please.
Thank you. Our police and fire departments are underpaid, underfunded, and under-equipped. Plus, when the Braves Stadium opens in a couple of years, Cobb will need approximately 100 more police officers and another new firehouse. Commissioner Burrell has allowed our county to reach this low point in public safety, yet she voted to spend over $500 million of Cobb's tax dollars on private enterprise, even though the Braves have more than adequate resources to cover those costs. And all this was done behind closed doors without a voter referendum. Commissioner Burrell continues to transfer millions each year from the Cobb Water Authority to the general fund rather than saving those funds for infrastructure repairs and upgrades that are already needed. On the subject of water, Cobb County has neighborhoods which are suffering flooding and water runoff damage because of overdevelopment. Homeowners in one neighborhood have paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to try to restore their community. One neighborhood, Lock Highland, has petitioned Commissioner Burrell to help resolve the flooding problem brought on by overdevelopment, yet no solution has been offered by the commissioner. Cobb County schools were tens of millions of dollars in the red last year. So why did Cobb commissioners offer tax relief for 10 years to a few select developers? Some of that money could have gone for our underfunded schools, yet those decisions were made without involving the elected people on the Cobb School Board, and that is totally irresponsible. It's time to put a stop to this madness, and I'm the person who will do that as your new Cobb Commissioner for District 3. I have the background, the training, and acumen to do the job that is required for Cobb County and all its citizens. Please go to opitz4cobb.com for more information. I'm asking for your vote on May the 20th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Joseph Pond, your closing statement.
All right. Thank you very much. As I just stated, I would like to thank Republican Women's Club for pulling this forum together. I would like to thank the people here and the people at home for taking the time to learn about the candidates. It's a shame that the incumbent had a scheduling conflict and could not be here tonight. The MDJ commented, claiming a scheduling conflict is a common tactic used by politicians perceived to have a wide lead over the opponent or the opponents, the feeling that they have little to gain by appearing and much to lose. If this is true, it would be rude and disrespectful to the voters of District 3. It would not, however, be surprising. In the recent past, the incumbent has made some revealing remarks about how she feels about the voters in District 3. She complained about the new boundaries of District 3, which takes effect in 2 years, saying, quote, "The way they did this, it's at my expense because I'm losing a lot of my base, my support base. I'm losing a lot of my supporters, where I practice my faith, where I have a lot of friends and family." She also said, well, it has a District 3 going down to Smyrna, to the Smyrna line, all through Marietta down to Smyrna. The trouble with that, she said, is it's not Northeast Cobb. If she does not like the new boundaries of District 3 or the people that are in it, perhaps she should step down and challenge Bob Ott for East Cobb in 2016. If you vote for me for commissioner, I will represent all of District 3, not just the part that makes the largest campaign contributions. It is the job of the commissioner to fairly represent the entire district, regardless of where the boundaries are drawn. Please keep this in mind when you vote in the primary. What you allow is what will continue. I am Joseph Pond, and I would appreciate your support to be commissioner of District 3.
All right, now, would we all please give these candidates from District 3 an applause for their work tonight? Thank you both very much. Okay, now it's time for the closings in the District 1 Commissioner race. Again, they drew names before we went on air tonight. And Mr. Bill Byrne, your closing, please.
Thank you, Linda. I sincerely believe in Cobb County today that we are looking forward to 2 to 4 years of some tough issues to deal with. There are going to be growth opportunities that can be beneficial to all. Growth opportunities bring problems with them. Experience matters in this campaign. And it is my hope and my intent to bring my experience as a land planner in the private sector and my experience from the public sector to a board of commissioners that will have to deal with these issues and build the relationships, positive relationships, that can seek out solutions and not confrontation to these issues. I will also attempt to communicate and not dominate the discussion. I am committed to do what is very best for West Cobb to ensure that we maintain and enhance the quality of life that Commissioner Gorham has been so successful and the community leaders working with her to develop. Growth is going to become a major issue once again in Cobb County, and experience does matter. If you agree with me, I need your help, your support, your vote, and God knows I need your prayers, and hopefully your vote on May 20th. Cobb County is in for a ride, and ride it with me, and let's address these issues jointly. And thank you all for being here, and to the Cobb County Republican women for sponsoring this event this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Byrne. Next, Mrs. Angela Barner, your closing.
Thank you again to the Cobb County Republican Women's Group for having this forum. I know what the issues are that are important to the homeowners who, by the way, are the taxpayers. I speak to homeowners every day about property values, public safety, traffic, schools, property taxes, and more. And I know what is important to the homeowners and their families and why they choose Cobb. Experience is not about who has held an elected office in the past. My experience comes from being a very successful business owner. The experience that I will bring to the Board of Commissioners is different than that from a career politician. The lens that I will be looking through when we're viewing budgets and policies will be from a perspective of someone that has over 2 decades created jobs in District 1, for over 2 decades paid business taxes, for over 2 decades helped thousands of families achieve their dream of owning a home, and remember, those homeowners are taxpayers. My experience comes from leading over 1,200 members of the Cobb Association of Realtors during one of the most difficult times in our industry's history, and my experience comes from building from scratch what is now one of the top real estate businesses in Georgia. I'm proud that my experience has come from doing my best for Cobb. We should be proud that Cobb is one of 39 counties in all of the United States with a AAA bond rating, and Cobb does have the lowest millage rate and the lowest sales tax in the metro area. We should be proud that Cobb has $48.8 million in reserves, and that is 6% more than required by law. I'm proud to be a lifelong resident, business owner, and taxpayer in Cobb, and I look forward to being your District 1 Commissioner to keep Cobb moving forward. I'm asking for your vote on May the 20th, and if you want fresh, responsible leadership, my name is Angela Barner.
Ms. Barner, thank you. Mr. Glenn Melson, your closing, please.
Again, my name is Glenn Melson. I am running for District 1 Cobb County Commissioner. I want to thank the Cobb County Republicans Women's Club for putting this format together tonight, this forum. I've had a great time. It's been a good way to address the public. As a true business leader, I am the only candidate that has brought forth actual plan to address the problems of Cobb County. Yes, we can all sit up here and poke holes and address the problems. Bringing forth a plan and saying, let's work this plan. With the 616 plan, we can address the needs of our public safety. We can address the needs of transparency in government. We'll be working with the homeowners associations, listening to their needs, their voices. We will absolutely enforce our zoning laws, and not selectively, but every time. Again, my name is Glenn Melson. I would love to have your vote May 20th. I'm asking for it. Please get in contact with me. I'll be glad to address you at any point and any needs, problems you may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Melson. Next, we have Mr. Bob Weatherford.
Thank you, Chief. I am proud to be here. I'm proud to be running for Cobb County Commissioner. I have a proven track record for 12 years. I'm a little concerned about the career politician nomenclature, because when I was elected 12 years ago, I was told there would be 4 meetings and that was it. They lied. And I believe that I've attended thousands of meetings. Also, don't make a lot of money doing that. It was $1,000 a month, and that came up after 3 years. So it's not a career politician. It's a servant leadership position. And anybody that serves in any capacity as an elected official has to be a servant leader. They have to stoop to help those that are less fortunate than they are, and they have to stand tall when it's the right thing to do. I made myself a promise 12 years ago when I was elected. It's a promise I made, and that's a promise I've kept. I promised myself that the day I make a decision as an elected official, based on whether I get reelected or not, is the day I resign. And I have been proud and honored to keep that commitment to myself and to my constituents for 12 years. I've won 4 elections. This is my 5th. I plan on winning this one. I plan on being your next Cobb County Commissioner. And when I do, I'll take my 12-year record of working together collaboratively with all the citizens of Cobb County, and to ensure that we work together, that we have open discussions, that we talk among ourselves. I may not agree with you. I may not even like you. But at the end of the day, I will respect you, and we will work together, and I'll return your call. So I think that that is what I bring to the table. And regardless of what happens in the next 4 years, you need someone that has experience. The processes that I've experienced over the last 12 years are the same. It's just the budget and the citizens are more than what I've done. But again, the processes are the same, and I have the experience to work together. And I appreciate all of your support, and your paying attention to all of us tonight, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Weatherford. Last with a closing, please, Mr. Scott Tucker.
That's okay.
Mr. Scott Tucker.
Okay, I wasn't going to say anything about you in my closing statement, but here we go.
Thank you.
People in this room and the people who watch this on television are different. I mean, really, you're different. You're different people, and it's not a bad different, it's a good different. And you're concerned to the point that you'll spend your own time to do something and find out about who's going to be in charge or who is going to lead and also serve you in the Cobb Commission. You know, I wish I could tell you that was always me. It wasn't. It wasn't. Over the last several years, I have realized how important it is. I was so caught up for my 30s anyway, in my 30s, and I'll tell you I'm in my early 50s now, but I was so caught up in my own family that I didn't spend enough time doing exactly what we're doing, what you're doing out here tonight. It's very important, and obviously you know that, and the people that are watching this know that. You know, I always said that somebody should do something about that. We're that somebody. We're the somebody. Everybody up here has got a desire to do something better and to make things better. And I really respect that now more than ever. I don't want to come back and apologize to my children in a few years that I didn't do everything I could do for Cobb County. I just don't want to do it. As a matter of fact, I don't want my children or your children to leave Cobb County because they think they found a better place. I just don't want that to happen. If I'm an extension of your values, I would like for you to vote for me. And I've got the drive and the determination, and everybody knows that the fire marshal is a pain in the neck. So I've got the drive and the determination to do something with Cobb County that I think we really need. You know, I hear this every single day. How in the world do you, as a fireman, go into these places when everybody else is running out? I think I'm doing it again. I wish you'd vote for me on May the 20th.
Thank you, Mr. Tucker. We really appreciate that. Now, let's give a round of applause for all of our District 1 candidates. I would like to thank all of our candidates for coming out tonight and for you, the audience, being here. And this has been an outstanding opportunity for me just to sit and listen to all of you. We are so fortunate in Cobb County that we have people that are willing to put their lives forward to make us a wonderful county and make us a better place for tomorrow. Thank you again for all of you for offering yourself as candidates. Been there, know how hard that is. So congratulations to each one of you. And now it's time for me to turn it back over to the Women's Club President, Barbara Hickey.
And thank you, Linda, and thank you for your service. You were truly a servant leader. And candidates, thank you for your participation in tonight's forum, and I want to thank the Cobb County Board of Commissioners, TV 23 staff. They've been wonderful, and of course, Linda, thank you for being our moderator. We are glad that you candidates like the forum structure, but it doesn't happen in a vacuum. We have two wonderful women who stepped up and said, we will run the forums. That is Tanya Boga. Tanya, please stand. And you're going to feel sorry for Rose Wing, but she's in France on the Riviera. Didn't they do a great job? And there are a lot of volunteers, too. And ladies, will you please stand? D. Gay had to leave us, but the Shirlene is here. Janelle Woody, Sharon Herndon, Martha Dearman, Roseanne Hall, Beth Tempest, Bill Byrne, Kim Strawn. Thank you, ladies, for participating. We hope tonight's forum has been beneficial and informative, and that you will go out to vote. Thank you for watching and attending the Cobb County Republican Women's Club Forum. Good night and good voting. Thank you.